All right, everyone, we're here to talk about the Yeah We Know podcast.
Well, first off, I want to say belts are just changing hands left and right here.
Yeah, we know.
If you came through the WWE and wanted to be a big-time deal, you had to go through The Undertaker for, what, about 20 years, Jimmy?
Yeah, we know.
Jimmy, are they screaming RK Bro, or are they screaming Randy, Randy, Randy?
Yeah, we know.
It's Seth freaking Rollins. Show the man his respect.
The Yeah We Know podcast. Find it in this feed, part of the Morgan You Know's podcasting network.
Hello, Internet. The Morgan You Know Podcast Network presents Balls Brew.
Welcome to another rousing rendition of the flagship sports podcast here on the Morgan You Know Podcast Network. I am your affable host. My name is Rod Morgan. Joining me is the producer of this podcast and every other podcast on this network, as well as the host of Yeah We Know and the host of the Fast Break, which will come up later, and the coach of his daughter's basketball team. Jimmy, I'll bring you in this way. Jimmy Jamrisco, by the way, that's the name. Proper introduction here, Rod. I'm a host. Is the heel of the week your daughter's basketball team for forcing you to coach a 4 overtime game that caused you to miss the pod last week?
Okay, this is the only time I haven't coached them, so sorry about that. I'm not the coach. I'm in the stands. But yes, they are the heel of the week. 4 overtimes. We missed 39 free throws, I think, in those 4 overtimes, just for the record. We lost like 32-27. Not good. Heel of the week.
Yeah, that's heel of the week. We definitely missed you last week, Jimmy Jam. Happy to have you back with us as always. If we're talking football, it's our handicapper. He's coming to us from South Bend, Indiana. It's Josh Williams. Josh, my question for you as we open the pod: are these the 4 best teams truly in the National Football League that made it to the Final Four?
What's going on, boys? Yeah, I believe they are. We had 8 teams. I think we had a very good blend of the teams last week. We had the 6 best teams the last, the Sunday, and the 4 teams that advanced plus Dallas and Buffalo. I thought were clearly the 6 best teams all year, and then the other 2, the Giants and Jacksonville, were coached by 2 of the best coaches this year, up for Coach of the Year in Dayball and Peterson. So I think there were 6 clearly best teams. I think Dallas and Buffalo just a little bit slightly less than the 4 teams we have right now. I think these are the 4 best teams. Each spread right now is under 3 points, and I think that's the first time that's happened since 1997 in the conference championship weekend. So that's very interesting.
You can hear the excitement in his voice, ladies and gentlemen. It's conference championship weekend. Williams is fired up. We have somebody else who might not be as fired up as Mr. Williams is. You heard the Cowboys mentioned there a little bit, and not as an active participant. Our Cowboys fan, our guy, the old man from North Carolina, Chris King. Chris, are you actually that sad about the Cowboys? Because based on what you said last week, I think you knew this is where you were going to be at.
Yeah, I knew this is where we were going to be at, Rod, and I am fired up. I'm fired up because of the Cowboys and their ineptitude, all right? And I'm going to just jump right into it, Rod. There's something I know. I'm going to get it off my chest right now. I don't know who designed that last play of the game, and I know that's not why we lost or anything, but whoever designed that, whether it was Kellen Moore, whether it was Mike McCarthy, whoever it was, they need to be fired right now. And in fact, fire Kellen Moore, all right? Fire Doug Nussmeier, and fire Rob Davis while you're at it. Get them all out of here. They're obviously worthless. Our offense has all this talent, and we are inept. You can't have our quarterback telegraphing passes, and that's something that you can coach quarterbacks out of. And that's what Dak is doing. He is telegraphing passes bad. Get rid of Moore, the offensive coordinator. Get rid of Meyer, the quarterback's coaching. Get rid of Rob Davis, who is the assistant head coach for some reason, because we know Mike McCarthy doesn't do anything anyway. I don't know why we need Rob Davis.
Wow, that is some definite fire out of you. I love that. And here you are giving me guff every once in a while when I sound this hot about my Colts. But I suppose your argument here would be you are allowed to be mad when they lose in a playoff game, and I have this vitriol and want the Colts to lose, right? That's probably what your argument is here.
You were rooting for your team to lose this season. That's unacceptable. There's a big difference between our fandoms.
All right, my last question for you to wrap a bow on all of that is I have a random candidate for you who might have designed that final offensive play. I give you Chuck Pagano. Is it possible that Chuck Pagano was doing some consultant work for the Cowboys there? Because that looked an awful lot like a terrible play he ran as Colts coach a few years back.
There is a new worst trick play in the NFL now. Colts and Pat McAfee no longer have that honor. I mean, what person in the right mind is like, we're going to put our $30 million running back or however much Zeke's getting paid to hike the ball so some defensive lineman or linebacker can just pummel him as soon as he lets go of that football? You know that the defense, San Francisco was over there. Guys, I guarantee it, they were like saying, hey, let me line up against Zeke. No, let me line up against Zeke. No, I want to hit Zeke. No, I want to hit Zeke. That's what they were doing. That's why they took the time out to decide who gets to hit Zeke.
Mr. Williams, I got to hear some thoughts out of you, and then we'll come to Jimmy Jam on that, because that was just a wild play. But I wonder if you were more angry about decisions before even that final trick play, because I think that's normally how you work.
Yeah, I mean, McCarthy said he had been working on that play for like weeks, which is hilarious. I think Chris's anger is misguided here. I'll go back to the Chargers last week. It starts at the very top, man. The Cowboys are never going to win another Super Bowl if Jerry Jones is the head of the Dallas Cowboys. It's just not going to happen, man. They need to get rid of him, which is never going to happen. They need to get rid of McCarthy, which, I mean, Sean Payton is out there. I mean, Sean Payton wants to either coach for the Dallas Cowboys or the LA Chargers, and both owners are too stupid or too arrogant to figure it out. And it's mind-boggling that these guys can't figure this out. But I'll tell you what, man, if Dallas was more disciplined, I was super impressed by Dallas's defense. I mean, they played their asses off. And I mean, if Sean Payton is coach of the Dallas Cowboys this year, I think the Dallas Cowboys are winning the Super Bowl. So you can say the same thing for the Chargers, man. So it's just wild to me that these owners let their egos get in the way.
I'm with you that both of these owners seem to be making bad decisions, but I think they're doing it for different reasons. I think Spanos isn't bringing Sean Payton in because he doesn't want to pay two coaches at the same time. I'm not entirely sure what Jerry Jones's reasoning is here. Jimmy, what do you think's going on here? Do you agree that the Cowboys might be suffering from some of the same problem Chris's other favorite team, the Colts, do with a nutty owner, and you can't get rid of the owner?
I just can't wait till the Colts hire Jeff Saturday, and we can't talk about that baseball team from Chicago or that football team from Indianapolis on our sports show centered in Indiana. So that's something I can't wait for. But hey, Chris, they're not going to fire. They've done their firing. Your Cowboys.
Yeah, definitely.
They fired.
McCarthy's not getting fired, man. He's won like 24 games in 2 years.
Kellen Moore apparently was the second finalist for the Panthers job. They're not going to fire him. So they're bringing the band back together. And I don't because let's be honest, Joe Philbin, who's the assistant, offensive line coach or whatever.
No shit. Joe Philbin's on that staff?
Well, not anymore. He got fired today. But
he's an offensive line coach.
Yeah, he got fired. So how are you going to do anything different? And Williams is right. Peyton's going to go back to TV this year. He's going to wait it out one more year so then he can choose between the Cowboys and Chargers. Chargers are stupid. They had their shot. They had him. They had him right there. Not happening.
So two things real quick. One, I am happy that Dan Quinn's coming back. That's the one good thing in Dallas is that defense. But two, like Sean Payton came out and said that he thought he would have too much issue with the ownership at Denver. Why would he wait to go to Dallas when the ownership at Dallas is going to be like so many more times more adversarial than the owners at Denver?
Because it's the Dallas Cowboys, Chris. That's why.
For sure, the Cowboys are going to be talked about the same way that the Lakers are talked about, right? The star on the side of their helmets, they're America's team, the cheerleaders, the whole 9 yards, man. It all feeds into the Cowboy mystique. But the Cowboy mystique is they lose playoff games. That's what they've done for 27 years now. So I'm with Chris and all of you guys, man. Something needs to change down in Dallas, and I don't think it's going to. Jimmy's absolutely right. You're not firing a guy after winning 24 regular season games the last 2 years, which is what McCarthy's essentially done. The other guys on the staff aren't going to go. You can cut guys, but we saw what happened. The Cowboys had to get rid of their number one wide receiver because of how much money they had to pay up against the salary cap. They certainly could have used Amari Cooper. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, no, they really needed another weapon on offense and another top-tier wide receiver not named Michael Gallup because he wasn't the answer. But yeah, losing Amari Cooper definitely hurt this offense. There's other issues as well, but that would definitely help. I mean, you get more talent on that offense, more weapons, then bad coaching gets hidden a little bit more, and then you don't have to worry about clock management at the end of games. It is nice that Zeke has said that he's willing to restructure his deal to be able to.
Oh,
stay
is
a
he?
Cowboy.
After the year he
Yeah.
just put up this year, how magnanimous
Yeah.
of him. Thanks, Zeke.
I would like
You're
to
hey
see-
guys, don't cut me. Don't cut me. I'll take less money.
I would like to see Dak do the same thing because we all know he
Whoa.
didn't play well enough to earn the $40 million or $42 million he's going to make next year. So, or the $54 million he's going to make the year after that.
I don't want to get sidetracked on too much of a Cowboys thing here any longer, but honestly, I'm not entirely sure Dak is the problem down there. All right. I mean, if you look across this league and you look at the quarterback play that we saw near the end of this year and some of the quarterback play we've seen in the playoffs, like we're at that zenith again where quarterbacks are not necessarily putting up those huge gaudy stats. They're throwing all the time, but they're not getting huge gaudy stats anymore. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that Dak was bad. Interceptions, yes, but there's a lot of quarterbacks that can survive with interception.
15 picks in 12 games.
There's a lot of quarterbacks that can survive with interceptions. There just is. Russell Wilson lived his life throwing a lot of picks in Seattle when he was good. Brett Favre threw a ton of picks. You can live your life throwing picks if you do other things, and I think Dak can do those other things.
But he doesn't right now, so...
But you just talked about all the other ineptitude. I can't believe I'm defending the Cowboys. We got to move on. All right, Mr. Williams. Let's let me throw to you. You're our handicap here. Do you want to talk about something else from last week, or do you want to move on to start talking about what you got this week? You tell me.
Just like a quick recap from last week. I went 2-1 against the spread on the official picks. Hit on Dallas Goedert over receiving yards. Hit on Cincy plus 5.5. I mean, all three of us called that from the previous week, I believe. Not just 5.5, but straight up. And then the one that I lost was the over-under of the Dallas-San Fran game. I was way off on that. So I think that's 3 weeks in a row I went 2-1, but then the one loss I was just completely way off on. So, yeah, hopefully we'll clean this up this week. I don't really have that many picks this week, just breaking down stuff, maybe a few props. When the games get down to, there's only 3 games remaining, the market is so efficient. So, and we'll talk more about this KC Cincy line that's been toggling back and forth all week too. So, yeah, whatever you guys want to jump in on.
All right. Well, I see Mr. King's things that he knows, and I think that it might be a good idea to cross one more of those off because it doesn't involve the actual games that are going to be played this weekend. And Jimmy, you're going to have to help out here a little bit because apparently you know a bit more about this situation than I do. So, Chris and Mr. Chamriska, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So I know that viral quote from Tom Brady, if I fucking knew what I was going to do, I would fucking know. With Jim Gray sounded real rehearsed. And I know, Rod, we're a PG pod. I'm sorry. Put a warning out there for that quote. But it sounded rehearsed. It sounded like Tom wanting to do something to put this out there to quell stuff and make him feel or sound like a real person. I don't know. It just sounds rehearsed.
Chris. I just think he's kind of annoyed at everything. But guess what, Tom? There's a lot going on in your world, in the world of the Bucks and your personal life, and stuff is coming out. And we understand that. You got a lot going on. But guess what? You're also the GOAT, and you're going to get these questions. And if Jim Gray didn't ask that question, people would have destroyed him for that. I'm sorry.
And that's one reason why I think it kind of sounded a little rehearsed, because I think Jim Gray wants to keep getting interviews.
That's what you're going to say, Jim Gray sucks? Is that what you're going to say? He always kind of sounds a bit rehearsed. That's the reason that he sucks?
Yeah, so I definitely think that Jim Gray told him, like, hey, think of a sound bite, or Brady came to him and was like, I need a sound bite, and they worked it out beforehand.
This is a man whose most famous quote is, LeBron, are you a nail biter? I mean, Jim Gray is an absolute moron. The fact that he is attached to this Tom Brady show for all these years and somehow continues to carry the stature of some sort of broadcaster or journalist that anybody should listen to is absolutely ridiculous. Mr. Williams, you've been talking for a couple of years on this podcast that you think Brady has another destination in him. So I'm sure you've got thoughts here.
Yeah, and this is why he's mad. I feel like this is why he's mad. is because Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, is ruining his
Nice.
is ruining his ascent. Off to trying to get that last ring. I'm telling you, he wanted so bad to end up in San Francisco. His childhood team, take them over the hump. Jimmy G gets hurt. Trey Lance, hurt, maybe a bust. San Francisco was supposed to be already out of these playoffs. In comes in, Brady swoops in next year, takes them over the top, finally gets Shanahan over the top, finally wins a Super Bowl. His family's there. I mean, it's a storybook ending. And who ruins the GOAT's story? Mr. Irrelevant, 7th rounder, Brock Purdy, Iowa State. That's why he threw 2 F-bombs out. I do not think this was rehearsed at all. Who throws 2 F-bombs out? And Gray was shocked by it. Like there was like a 7-second pause, and he's like, "You seem disturbed by the question, Tom." So, yeah, I think he's pissed off at Brock Purdy. He's ruining his dream.
So, Rod, here's the exact quote for you, but I'm going to obviously clean it up a little bit. But, Jim, if I knew what I was effing going to do, I'd already have effing done it. And he just stared at him. And he said, "I'm taking it a day at a time."
Of course you are, Tom. Of course you are, Tom. The TB12 has him acting crazy, all right? It's had him acting crazy for a couple of years. Tom Brady knows that he is on the verge of the inevitable cycle of American fame, all right? He rode high for all of these years, was untouchable, the GOAT, supermodel wife, all of the above, bang. All of that's gone up in smoke, played football terribly. All these stories are going to start coming out. The worm is going to turn on Tom Brady, and he absolutely knows it. And Jimmy, the last thing I want to mention about this is props need to be given to you, okay? Because you made the Brock Purdy joke before the man, the legend, the Hall of Famer, Paul Heyman did it. Jimmy, you had it. Do you think Paul Heyman listens to this podcast?
Oh, he shoots me some notes every week. He's that good of a guy, and he recognizes greatness. So, yeah, of course he listens to the podcast.
But I think
he's not going to like me.
I think it's so great.
No, I got a paragraph. I got a voicemail from him, dude. He doesn't even have a phone. I got a voicemail from him.
I think what's great about the Brock Purdy and the Brock Lesnar tie-in is that it's totally a wrestling story, what Williams just described right there, right? What Tom Brady wanted to have happen next year at the 49ers opening game is, oh my God, is that Tom Brady's music? And then Brady comes in, right? The glass breaks, here he comes, Stone Cold Stunners for everybody, and he takes the Niners to the Super Bowl. I think you're absolutely onto something there, Williams. I love it. I think Chris might be on to something because I don't put anything past Tom Brady. I think everything that he does and puts out for us is prepackaged and sanitized and all of the above. And I also completely hate Jim Gray. I think that's obvious. So I'm not going to do anything to defend that dude whatsoever. Let's move on to the games that are actually going to be played on the gridiron that matter, and they're going to give us our Super Bowl matchup. Williams, AFC or NFC? Where are we starting?
Chronologically ordered, so maybe start with NFC here.
Sounds good to me. Your Niners, I'm sure you've got lots of thoughts on your guy Kyle Shanahan on the verge of heading back to that Super Bowl.
Yeah, just lay out a bunch of stuff here and decide what path you guys want to take. Purdy, last 79 attempts, he's had 0 turnover-worthy throws. And that dropped interception by Diggs last week for Dallas. That was tipped initially by Ayuk, so that pass didn't go towards that stat. So Purdy got pressured on 48% of his dropbacks last week versus Dallas and didn't have any picks. And that's a credit to Shanahan's scheme. The Niners have had the most open window throws and the highest expected completion percentage out of any team in these playoffs. Shanahan in the postseason is 7-1 against the spread. It would be beneficial to Purdy, in my opinion, if Shanahan went more shotgun this week, though, because we said last week how great Philly is defending play action. And since week 14 on early downs in the first 3 quarters, the Niners are number 1 in EPA per pass using shotgun without play action. And shotgun, no play action since week 14. Purdy is number 2 in EPA per pass attempt and top 5 in passing success rate. That's out of 27 qualified QBs. And Philly is number 1 at turning pressure into sacks. Niners are 17% success rate when running behind their left guard. The Eagles have been susceptible to that. We could see some Debo jet sweeps also. Philly's been susceptible there also because those ends like to end up wide, get the wide stances, get up the field. But this game is tough to handicap though, because Philly has played a bottom 6 schedule of opposing defenses, but San Fran has played a bottom 5 schedule of opposing offenses. So the formula to beat Philly is to play a ton of zone without blitzing. Wink last week for the Giants. He got a little stubborn. He blitzed too much and he played man at a high rate. He totally killed our Giants picks. But that's how you beat Philly. DeMeco Ryans and the Niners play zone at a top 5 rate. That's something that Philly hasn't seen much of lately. 5 out of the last 6 games, opposing Ds played zone at a bottom 7 rate. The last 12 games for Philly, only 2 teams played zone above average, and Hurts efficiency rates were terrible in both. So against zone coverage, sack rate increases 5% and third down conversion rate dips 15% when Hurts faces zone. One prop you could lean towards maybe is Hurts rushing yards under 49.5. Seemed like he didn't take that many hits last week, so we still don't know. I mean, he played awesome, but we still don't know if he's fully 100% or not. And I expect Philly will try to pass more against San Fran this week because San Fran's rushing defense is so good. So this game is tough. What do you guys think on the San Fran Eagles game?
I wonder this, right? This is what I found myself questioning as we rolled into recording this very podcast here this evening. Are the Eagles fly? Are they that good? Or did the Giants, my beloved Giants, our guy, Dayball, they won me the bet by making the playoffs, but did they just turn into a pumpkin? Jimmy, your thoughts?
I think when you get this far into the playoffs, talent is going to win out. And the Giants, you look at their receiving core, you look at their quarterback, they didn't have the talent to take it to the next level. And that's something that the Giants really need to think about. They got a huge decision to make. I think they've already made it. I think they're bringing Danny Dimes back, and I don't think that's the right decision. So,
Jimmy, stop it. No Danny Dimes slander on this podcast, Jimmy. You stop it.
Well, I'm sorry, Rod. I'm a realist, and you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Danny Dimes. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen.
You're not going to win a Super Bowl with Jeff Saturday at coach either, right? People just
correct.
Have nice things.
You know what? That is a valid point. So why don't the Colts trade for Danny Dimes?
Yes.
Have Jeff Saturday.
Yes.
And just be done with it. We know from now on.
Let's go, baby. Bring in Danny Dimes. We'll do it.
Take a linebacker with pick 4. Why not?
Another Shaq Leonard. He doesn't even play anymore. We could use him.
Nope.
Maybe we give Shaq Leonard the nickname the Ghost, like we used to give it to T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton got the nickname the Ghost because he was fast, but he literally became a ghost because he would never play. See, I'm getting sidetracked on the Colts again. Darn it, Jimmy. Chris, these Eagles, you know very well. What are your thoughts? Do you think the Eagles are ready to roll here, or do you think this had more to do with the fact that, as Jimmy and I were stating, that the Giants were maybe just a little overmatched here?
Excuse me. I actually have a little bit more faith in San Francisco's defense than I do in Philadelphia's offense. I do think Philadelphia has the weapons. They do rely heavily on the ground game, which we know San Francisco was built to stop. I was surprised last week that Dallas was pretty successful with the run for the most part. It was the linebackers and secondaries that looked like the elite unit. Maybe that's more Dallas's play than San Francisco's, but I really see this as being a tough game. I think the first team to get to 24 points wins. I think that's going to be San Francisco. I just like their defense better than I like Philadelphia's offense.
Wow, there we go. Chris gets his pick on the books. Jimmy and I have yet to make our pick. Williams, any last thoughts here before Jimmy and I pick and we move on?
Yeah, so the ref in this game, John Hussey,
there it is, ref stats. Let's go, baby. Drink at home.
Yeah, he definitely lets them play, man. 51% fewer defensive holding calls than league average. He's only called 1 roughing the passer all year. That might benefit Philly, actually, because, I mean, if they hit Purdy, a rookie quarterback on the road, plus a ref who never throws a roughing the passer flag, I mean, I don't know. That might benefit Philly there. But in his career, outdoor games under John Hussey, he's 56-39-1 to the under, including the postseason, and he's 8-3 to the under in outdoor games this season. So, I mean, we've noted it earlier. We think DeMeco Ryans is going to be smart enough to play zone in this game. This might be a pretty low scoring game. I mean, Chris said first one to 24. It possibly might be the first one to 20. to win this game. I'm not sure, but yeah. This also the last time we talked about it earlier. The last time we had the conference championship games when both games were spread of under 3 back in '97. Elway's Broncos took out the Steelers, and Favre's Packers knocked off San Francisco. What's interesting there is that both road teams won those conference championship games. So just another little tidbit there.
Williams is throwing it back to 1997. I'm throwing it back even further than that. I'm going back Niners v. one of their Super Bowl opponents in the 80s for my Super Bowl pick. I don't want to reveal that yet because we're about to talk about the AFC, but I got Niners winning this game. Jimmy Jam, how about you?
I think Brock Purdy continues his amazing run, and the Niners will win the game.
There you have it. I think we got 4 on the side of the Niners, so that means the Eagles will probably win. Philly will be in yet another Super Bowl. Let's move on to the AFC game, where I guess the biggest question is, what will Patrick Mahomes be? Because I think we all know he's going to start, but what will Patrick Mahomes be? Williams, how much did you think Patrick Mahomes was going to be worth when you started handicapping this game?
Well, it's interesting because I jumped on Cincy right away last Sunday night. They were getting 1.5, and by a couple days later, by Tuesday, you saw where Cincy was favored by 2.5, and then there was a prominent company that releases picks that gave out KC plus 2.5 on a Tuesday afternoon, and why we thought that was pretty odd to do about the timing. I mean, what do they know that we don't to give out a pick on Tuesday afternoon with Mahomes' ankle? And so then that kind of makes me believe that the ankle isn't as bad as what was perceived. Usually high ankle sprains are 4 to 6 weeks, but he's out there practicing okay. I think he's going to be able to move in the pocket fine, but it's out of the pocket where I think he's going to have trouble. So what do you call that? 75, 80% maybe. But yeah, this is getting back to handicapping the game. This is the 4th time in 13 months we're going to get Cincy versus KC, and all 3 games had at least 51 points scored. So this game could be a lot higher scoring than the NFC Championship game.
This is a Tom Cruise kind of game is what you're saying here.
There we go. Cincy has won the previous 3 meetings all by 3 points. That's interesting. But Mahomes is a dog. If they go off as a dog right now, that line has come back to like Cincy -1, and so it might still be taking KC money. We'll see who actually ends up being a dog here. But Mahomes is a dog. He's 7-1-1 against the spread, 17-6-1 against the spread as a dog or a fave of less than 3 points. But I give you some Joe Burrow stats here. Joe Burrow is 20-5 against the spread in his last 25 starts, 16-1 against the spread versus non-divisional opponents, 19-7 against the spread away from home in his career, 15-2 straight up in his past 17 games versus teams with winning records. That stat's insane. They've also went 22 straight games without losing by more than a field goal when Jamar Chase starts. And these 2 QBs are elite. They are the best of the best. In the 3 games between Burrow and Mahomes, KC has been outscored 26-6 in the 4th quarter and overtime. I mean, there is a reason Burrow is 33-14-1 against the spread in second half Bengals lines in his career. That's over 70%. Over the last 2 years, he's 29-8-1 against the spread in those second halves. A lot of that credit goes to my favorite defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, who's been absolutely outstanding. He held that Bills offense to 10 points in Buffalo last week. Shout out to Lou Anarumo. He's been fantastic. What do you guys think on this Cincy KC game?
Why? I have myself a bad case of Joe Burrow fever these days, man. I am more and more impressed with this guy. That's my first thought. But I know somebody else who's got a severe case of Joe Burrow fever, and that's Chris King. Chris, Jimmy had the first shot last time. You got first shot this time.
Joey Burr. You got to love Joey Burr, right? I mean, he is about as cool and collected and smooth as a quarterback can get, and that's what you want. These Bengals continue to impress. They continue to be the team that conquers all. Doesn't matter what adversity they're going up against. They seem to thrive on that. Which brings me to something I know, Rod. I know that Willie Gay should just shut up for the Chiefs. You're going up against this Cincinnati team who has this tenacity and grit to continually to win games against teams that theoretically are better on paper, like this Kansas City team, and you're going to go out there and say stuff like there's nothing really that impressive with their offense. There's nothing to really worry about or focus on. I know they're going to try to big boy us and run the ball, but we'll be able to stop it. You're giving them this ammo. You're feeding into them what they need to win. You need to stop talking. And if you're a Chiefs fan, you are screaming at him. You're putting a muzzle on him. You're trying to shut him up. That being said, the Chiefs are no joke. I'm going to give you some stats for who I still think should be the Offensive Player of the Year. That's Mr. Travis Kelce. 110 receptions on 152 targets, 1,338 yards, 12 touchdowns for a tight end. That is insane. That guy is a one-man wrecking crew. If the Bengals can't stop Travis Kelce from running roughshod all over them, then it's going to be a long day for Cincinnati fans. But you can't bet against Joey Burr. That's why I'm picking the Bengals.
Nice. Jimmy, I got to admit something here. We are recording as the Knicks and the Celtics are in overtime on TNT right now, and RJ Barrett just nailed an absolute dagger. And so I didn't get a lot of what Chris said. I'm sure it was astute, and I'm sure it was wonderful, but I didn't get a lot of what he said there. So, Jimmy, your thoughts on the game?
I'm pretty sure he said against at one point in there, so he must be a Canadian and or Chris Jericho fan. Listen, Joey B has been amazing in his short career here, and I think he continues. I was going to pick the Bengals no matter what, and I think they continue the streak that they're on now. Mahomes is not going to be 100%, and the Bengals are going to go after him. I got the Bengals here, and I think it's going to be a pretty decisive win.
Wow, look at that. Bengals big. I don't know that I want to say that, but I'm definitely going Bengals. I got Bengals v. Niners in a rematch of the great Super Bowl that gave us the Joe Montana clip where he's getting ready to lead him down the field, do a touchdown to win the game, and he tells all the guys, hey, you guys see John Candy's in the stands over there? So I got Niners, Bengals. Mr. Williams, your final thoughts here on the AFC.
Yeah, man. I gotta come at Chris here with we gave out at the beginning of the year AP Player of the Year. We gave out Justin Jefferson at 14-1. He's one of the 3 finalists with Hurts and Mahomes. Travis Kelce isn't even in the finalist list. I know he's had an awesome year, but man, let's stop with the bad juju with Justin. The pod needs Justin Jefferson to win this AP Player of the Year at 14-1, so we get a future pick right here. But no, I hear you, man. Kelce has been awesome. But man, I can't believe we are all picking Cincy versus San Fran, whereas most of the public is on Philadelphia, I believe. And just for reference, last week I was hesitant with my picks because I felt like I was going against the Sharps a lot last week. The Sharps were 0-4 against the spread last week. So who
needs Sharps when you got the handicapper Josh Williams, baby? Come on.
But one that I was way off on was the Giants, and I kind of picked that with my.
That was a hard pick. That was a hard pick. We were all swept up there. You know what I mean? Like, that's me with the Jaguars. You know what I mean? Like, we were just getting swept up in it. You know, when the Colts are as bad as they were, when the Bears as bad as they were, we were susceptible this year to the football wins, and we got on a couple of trains.
Yeah. So I think Cincy is just on a roll. I think you guys are right. Joe Burrow is an absolute cold-blooded assassin, and he's been better on the road, man. And I just feel like this Cincy team is just rolling right now, and I do not want to get in front of that train. So let's please, for me, can we have Kyle Shanahan, the best offensive mind in the game, versus Lou Amaruno, the best defensive mind in the game for the Super Bowl for all the marbles? I mean, does it get any better for me if that's the Super Bowl? I would love it. Absolutely.
Has anybody ever heard one of those radio commercials where they talk about Big Lou's on pills too? Has anybody ever heard those? I think about that every time that Williams brings up the defensive coordinator for the Bengals.
Let's go. Bengals versus Niners. That's my pick.
This will be the third time. It'll be the third time for the 49ers versus the Bengals in the Super Bowl, because there was 2 times in the 80s that Joe Montana beat the Bengals, 81 and 88.
That's right. I was talking about, I think it's the 81 game is the one I was talking about with John Candy, but you're right. I forgot about the later game with Icky Woods, right?
Yeah, the Icky Shuffle. That was a great Cincinnati team.
All right, there we have it. I think we have, I think it's kind of scary, Jimmy, that all of us have the same exact Super Bowl pick. I mean, that clearly means that there's going to be chaos and that there's no chance either of these teams win now, right?
Yeah, it makes for great bragging rights on the next episode. Let me tell you, when we don't, when we're just, we were all wrong. Sorry. And it's actually my fault because I'm always wrong. So sorry, guys.
Oh, Jimmy Jam, that's okay. You do a hell of a job producing this podcast, so we'll allow you to come on and be wrong all the times that you want. But you know where you're never wrong, Jimmy? When you're leading the fast break. We're going to do that here in just a second. But we got to let our guy, Josh Williams, go. This is like the penultimate Josh Williams episode here. Now, I guess we're going to have you the week between the Super Bowl. What do you think we're going to talk about next week, Mr. Williams? I guess that's my question for you, other than wrapping up these 2 games.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can dive into some NBA midseason stats for you guys. Throw out some teams like best record against the spreads, maybe worst record against the spreads. I will leave you with this, though. You asked if these are the 4 best teams left. I'm going to say yes, a resounding yes. Since November 2nd, when these 4 QBs have started for their teams, they are combined 35-2. Burrow 10-1, Purdy 7-0, Mahomes 10-1, Hurts 8-1. One of those losses was Mahomes to Burrow. So really, they've only lost 1 game outside of these 4 teams. So I think these are the 4 best teams left. We're going to have 2 awesome conference championship games this week.
Yeah, I think you're right, and that's good that we're going to have 2 nice conference championship games to talk about, because I think it's going to be pretty ugly next week when we talk about our predictions for the beginning of the year. So, Mr. Williams, you're right. We definitely need the Justin Jefferson juju for the pod. For the pod, I love that thought. Stick around. Jimmy Jamrisk will be leading the fast break where we talk some NBA here soon.
All right, it is time for the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. It's the NBA Fast Break. I'm Jimmy, Rod, and Chris are here as always. And gentlemen, the Balls and Brew / Fast Break Golden Touch continues. We had our Jaguars for Balls and Brew. We've got our Sacramento Kings, our 3rd place, 7-3 in their last 10. Sacramento Kings on Fast Break. Rod, how excited are you to be rooting for a winner?
It's just, I mean, I think back to the Vlade Divac, Chris Webber,
Peja Stojakovic.
I just think back to some of those great
Jason
Kings.
Williams.
Little Bibby.
Oh, and just how fun it was in the Arco Arena, right, with the Maloofs before they were bad guys as the cool, fun-loving casino owners. It was just such a great time. And what I think to myself, Jim, is those teams have nothing on this light the beam Sacramento Kings team. I got a chance to check them out a couple of times here recently, and it is night and day watching Kings basketball now on the offensive end versus what Kings basketball was for so many years.
Did you see what they did to Memphis?
Toys. Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. That was the game I was definitely referencing, Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they just we talked so highly about Memphis last week, didn't we, Rod? And of course, that gave them the kiss of death.
Yes, we definitely screwed them.
But Sac went out there and just almost made them look like a JV team. Won by 33 points. Put up 133 against Memphis, held them to 100.
Yeah, holding Memphis to under 100 is good. I mean, that's really good, and I think that's the sneakiest part, Jimmy. And again, I'm going to talk about Mike Brown here. I think that
that was where I was going to go next. Yep,
it's defense is just it's there, right? We talked about how defense can be a stabilizing force in the regular season for teams, right? And that's the somewhat dirty, foreboding word here for the Kings, right? Is this a regular season darling, or is it more?
Our boy Simmons talked a little bit about Mike Brown and how he was able to go into Golden State, talk to some veterans. The veterans are like, hey, simmer down a little bit. And he learned a lot from Steve Kerr, which is interesting because Brown has been a coach, for a lot longer in his lifespan than Kerr was. But he was okay with going in and learning a new culture, and then he adapted that to this perfect team. He doesn't have a superstar on this team. They traded him to Indiana. But anyway, he was able to do that, and they have the perfect team together. My question, though, for you guys, are they going to make a trade here they've got a couple of nice contracts in Holmes and Len that can get you about 16, 17 million. Are they going to make a trade here coming up soon to really go for it this season? Chris King, what do you think?
I mean, they need to, right?
Do they?
Well, here's the thing. I think that they don't want to give up too much. Giving up those two guys isn't going to really do anything bad for your chemistry.
But it's also not going to get you anything. So why mess with the chemistry?
Well, you'd also probably have to throw in a first-round pick or so. And if you're the Kings, do you really want to get cocky with the first-round pick? So, Rod, you'd stand pat, right?
Here's the thing, Jim. You're absolutely right about those two guys not being of any loss to the Kings whatsoever, right? But you're not going to get anything, right? In this market, maybe you'll get a second-round pick. Fine, okay, cool. You dump those guys for a second-round pick and another rotation guy that's probably not going to play for your bench anyway. These guys are all getting along. We're lighting the beam. Things are good. I say don't mess with it personally.
You may be right, Rod. You may have just convinced me.
So like an Eric
Holy
Gordon.
smokes, Jimmy, you got to clip that. You got to clip that right there.
We've had 2 podcasts in a row. By the way, listen to the Yeah We Know podcast. Chris said some weird things on there. I'm thinking I'm going to Houston. I'm looking at Eric Gordon. Veteran presence, outside shot.
Okay,
not going to cost you very much.
But
something
I
like
think
that.
He's going to cost a lot because he's going to be one of the better players on the market, right? Everybody knows Houston's selling. So he's going to be one of the better players on the market, which means you're going to have multiple teams biting at that apple. And if you're Houston, what in the world do you want with those 2 expiring contracts? Nothing. So then you got to give up those draft picks. And as you stated, Jim, that's dangerous when you're the Kings. Because again, we haven't made the playoffs in 19 years. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Do we want to touch anything from Houston? That could be corrupted.
It could just get kind of a virus coming in.
Yeah, I mean we've made them we've given them an official designation. And I don't think that we, as Kings fans, we would want anything that may have came from that barrel that's at least halfway rotten, if not all the way.
I do want to give a quick shout out to Williams, who was still in the room but then left because he knows nothing about basketball, but does remember Bobby Jackson coming off the bench for those Sacramento Kings back in the day. So shout out to Bobby Jackson as well. But let's talk about some stars from this year. We've got the All-Star Game starting lineups in quotes because there's going to be a big draft anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Wait a minute, the draft does matter, Jim. We should touch on that quickly before you give us the starters.
Okay.
It's awesome that they're doing it straight.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, that's incredible,
They're going to do the draft live, and there will be someone who is sitting there last, and it's going to be Lauri Markkanen, and it's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait.
It is going to be Lauri Markkanen, and it's going to look like it's a racial thing.
Well, it will be. LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo are your team captains. I want to get your thoughts on the Western Conference starters. Now, remember the starters, it's 50%, it's a weighted outcome. Media, fans, players. So just, calm down, everybody. But the Western Conference starters are Zion Williamson, who's played, I think, 14 games this season. Jokic, Curry, Luka, and LeBron James. It's a pretty good starting 5 there, Chris, don't you think?
Yeah, and I get why Zion's in there. I just think he's the one starter of this group that maybe doesn't have the resume of everybody else so far. That'd be the one.
Who are you putting in?
Our boy. It's a bonus. Throw him in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think who I would be putting in.
He's the only name, because if you give me any other name, I'm going to give you the same argument with Zion, right? I was about to say, I'm not counting Zion out because of games played. This is the NBA in 2023. Dudes don't play. So I'm not going to count a guy out for that. But you're right. Sabonis would be the one guy who I would say, okay, he deserves to be there.
Yeah.
And then for the East, we've got Antetokounmpo. We've got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving from your Brooklyn Nets. And we've got Celtics forward Jason Tatum and Cavs guard Donovan Mitchell. What a great story for Donovan Mitchell, Rod, this year.
Thank you for coming to me on Donovan Mitchell. And that is a great story for Donovan Mitchell. I'm excited for Donovan Mitchell to show everybody in the NBA that he is a top 15-ish, maybe top 10 on very, very good weeks type player. We'd all given up on him a little bit in Utah. He's come here to Cleveland and showed everybody, hey, I can still play defense. I can get to the cup anytime I want to, and I'm a pretty good shooter from the outside. So excited to see him there, and I'm really bummed for him that his backcourt mate is who his backcourt mate is, but hopefully he doesn't have to be on his team since, as you said, they're going to get shaken up.
Yeah, so while Durant, Chris, is probably not even going to play in the game, I don't think, his teammate Kyrie Irving is. I go to Zach Lowe for this one. Zach Lowe said, if someone's team said, you need to go away for a while, I'm kind of good on you. We don't want him to be on the All-Star team. And I think that's kind of where I'm at too. Do you have any, because if anyone on the podcast would be you, old man Chris, do you have any rationale for Kyrie Irving being on the All-Star team?
As much as we
I
don't
know. I'm sorry.
As much as we don't like Kyrie Irving, we cannot dispute that he does have talent on the basketball court as much as that frustrates us.
So what?
However, if I was going to replace one person on this team, it would be Kyrie Irving on the starting lineup, and I would put somebody in like Tyrese Halliburton, who's coming in, leading the NBA in assist, a true point guard, having a phenomenal year. Give him what he deserves, put him on the team.
The smartest thing any basketball person can say is, let me remove Kyrie Irving from this team.
Yeah, that's probably what it's going to. Oh, wait. Oh, there we go. Speaking of Kyrie Irving, here's the latest Raw Damnation drop, followed by Raw Damnation.
But I do believe we should all follow one path in life, and if Kyrie Irving says we should do something, go the other way. Yes, thank you. I'm awfully hot now about Kyrie Irving, so I'm going to calm down just a tad bit, because this is a Raw Damnation, because I am a tad bit perplexed, a tad bit angry, a tad bit confused at this, but I don't think it rises to the level of vitriol that I sometimes fire out at the likes of Kyrie and a few others who we just won't name right now. But this Raw Damnation this week is for the Golden State Warriors, and it's for something that I don't think we talk about as often as we maybe should. But I also don't know how much credit to give to this person, and that's Bob Myers. He's been the GM of this Golden State run. He has a lot of good relationship with a lot of players. He's made some pretty good moves. He's made some bad drafts. I'm not sure he's great at drafting. Golden State doesn't have a great hit rate on any of their later picks, which I understand are later picks, but they still don't have a great hit rate on any of those. Made some shrewd trade moves. It's also pretty easy to get guys to want to come to your team. Steph Curry's a legendary incandescent talent, so I don't know how much credit to give to Bob Myers. But I do know that you probably should sign the guy to a contract, because if there's any kind of basis for keeping your job as a GM in the NBA, it's track record. And Bob Myers' track record right now is pretty unimpeachable. So I don't know what Golden State is doing. I don't know if it possibly means the end of this dynasty. I don't know if it's a boon for another team who could get Bob Myers and then their franchises turned around, much the same way that Jerry West helped turn around a few franchises after he left the Lakers. I don't know if that, or Sam Presti to Oklahoma City. I don't know if that's what we're dealing with here, but it's awful odd to me that Bob Myers is kind of out and basically acting as a free agent as the GM of the Golden State Warriors, trying to win back-to-back titles. That's Raw Damnation for this week.
The Warriors right now are sitting at 24-24. They're at 500. We just passed the halfway point of the season. They have their core three healthy and playing, and they're still only at 500. Why? I mean, if they're really trying to get the back-to-back championships, if they're still trying to get this dynasty to move forward, isn't this 500 season so far looked at as a disappointment?
I think it is, but I think what we have to remember here is there are constraints on a general manager in two different ways, all right? General manager still has a boss, and we all know that Joe Lacob is vocal and likes to be out there and likes to have his basketball ideas, and he also has a salary cap. So I think what the Warriors are dealing with, and it's something that we've talked about, is they have an owner who wants to prove how cool he is and try to keep this thing lasting for a decade, and he wants desperately for Kuminga, Moody, and Wiseman to turn into three superstars, so he doesn't want to get rid of them, and then they don't have a lot of other space on their roster or cap room because of the holds that a guy like Wiseman carries, right, as the number 3 pick. Moody was a lottery pick as well, I believe, so their salary holds are much more than they could get a good player who could help them out off the bench at a veteran minimum. I think that's the biggest problem they have, and then I also just they're terrible on the road. That I can't explain, but I'm fairly certain that doesn't have anything to do with Bob Myers.
Agree completely there, Chris. So hopefully, maybe the Indianapolis Colts give Bob Myers a call. Say, hey,
why not?
Championship teams, come on over. Let's see what's going on. You know anything about quarterbacks?
Listen, the Colts, Irsay's a nutbag, man. We could do that. Listen, put that out there in the world. Let's go for it.
Let's go.
Why not? We can take high school coaches and make them a football coach. We can take basketball GMs, make them president of football operations. Yeah, sure.
All right, before we get to the King's Hardwood hierarchy, we have a returning segment. It's the MVP table.
I take my rightful place at the head of the table. Believe that.
Very simple. There are 6 seats at this table, gentlemen. I'm going to give you 6 names. We're going to write these names down. You're going to tell me if I miss somebody and we need to take somebody out of the table, and who the head of the table is starting things off.
Roman Reigns. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a different podcast.
Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, Luka, Tatum, Antetokounmpo, and our boy, Domantas Sabonis. There is your MVP table. Who needs to go up? Who needs to go down? Who needs to be added? Who needs to be taken away? Chris King, what do you think?
I don't think if we're going to have Sabonis there, I don't think he's at the table. I think he's like waiting at the bar, waiting to be seated. I think we need somebody that's
No. Sabonis isn't even at the bar waiting to be seated. Sabonis is like, maybe
still
I'll
in
get
a
to
car.
the restaurant in a little while.
Yeah, he's like waiting on his Uber to pick him up, maybe.
Jimmy, I love the Kings and I love me some Domas Sabonis, and I certainly love Arvydas Sabonis, but we're getting ahead of ourselves if we think he's sitting at this table.
Yeah, why not somebody like a John Morant?
That's why I'm asking you the question. So you want to take Sabonis out? You want to pay? We've got Shea, Gilgeous-Alexander. We got Kevin Durant, who's got Damian Lillard. We've got John Morant. I mean, who do we want?
Jimmy, there's a rule at the restaurant that houses the MVP table, and that rule is at our particular table in our particular restaurant, we will not be allowing any patrons in who called for the firing of their coach and GM and demanded to be traded in the season before. I'm sorry. That's just my rule.
Okay, so Kevin Durant is like in the parking lot, hanging out.
He's being escorted out by my security guards. Is what he's being escorted out.
All right, so we've got. How about this? How about we go Jokic, Embiid, Luka, Tatum, Giannis, and Ja? Talk to me about that.
Listen,
Rod.
5 seats at the table. I'm lockstep with you, Jimmy. As much as I do not want Joker to win the MVP, I have to put him there, and I don't have some sort of arbitrary reason I can take him out the way that I can Durant. I love Embiid being there, but apparently Embiid is destined to never win the MVP.
Nope.
Tatum certainly is playing incredible. Luka, I mean, is legendary. But here's my other thought on Luka, all right, and why I guess I would lean to Ja being the 6th guy at the table. Love Luka, but the heliocentric offense is just getting out of hand.
Yep.
I mean, Luka stats are inflated, guys. I'm not trying to put the man down. He's a hell of a basketball player, intelligent, all the above. But Luka's stats are inflated because of his usage rate. I mean, in just the time that he has the basketball, it's insane. So, but definitely I wouldn't have Sabonis at that table. So I agree with Chris there. And I guess Ja, I'm desperate to try to think of somebody else, but I think Ja's probably good.
Okay, so who's the head of our table? Is
Roman Reigns.
Jokic number 1? Giannis? Who we got?
I think for this first seeding that the reigning 2-time MVP probably deserves to sit at the head of the table right now.
I just want to throw up in my mouth when we talk about the possibility of Nikola Jokic being a 3 straight MVP winner.
Okay, so why don't we just leave him there now, and at the end of the season when it really counts, we can change it, Rod. Does that sound good to you?
Well, but listen, he might very well win it. I might have to pull some Godfather shit to get him out of this table instead of, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Hide a gun in the bathroom.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, I am running the show, and that means that Nikola Jokic is our head of the table. He's not the king, the queen, the prince, or the joker. That's the King's Hardwood hierarchy.
All right. As everybody who listens knows, the Houston Rockets have been named Jester Emeritus and can no longer be designated as the Jester, which is probably a good thing for them because they really haven't improved. I do think they won one game, but let's be honest. But where it really counts, the throne, the queen's throne and the prince. That's all changed this week. Memphis got the balls and brew kiss of death from Rod and I last week and went ahead and just rattled off 4 losses in a row. They
Did you
are
hear
no
the
lo-
reason why? Did you hear any talk of the reason why, Jimmy? I think you caught some of this because we listened to some of the same NBA pods. But basically, it was theorized that the Grizzlies are young men, and they were on the West Coast, and they went out and had themselves a time a couple of nights, and one of those nights was Dylan Brooks's birthday. So like that was a guaranteed loss the next day after Dylan Brooks's birthday.
They were
was
hoisted.
kind of
Is basically what happened. Yes, that they don't have that veteran leader say, "Hey, don't go out tonight."
So that means our king this week back to the top, even though they've lost 2 games in a row, but they still have the best record in the NBA. That's the Boston Celtics.
They just lost to the stinking Knicks tonight. RJ Barrett slit their throats.
Yeah, I know that, but you still have the best record in the NBA. You still have one of the most elite offenses and a top tier defense. We know.
Let me ask Jimmy a
Tatum.
question real quick on Boston, and both of you guys a question real quick. Jimmy, should we be a little bit more worried about Boston's offense when Jason Tatum isn't on the floor? Because that's something that I've seen recently. And then the end of that, who was it they lost to the other night? The Heat. The end of that Heat game was nasty, man. Tatum just like wasted 13 seconds, got double teamed, tried to throw a skip pass that got picked off. Should we worry about the Celtics when Tatum's not on the floor?
Chris, I think we definitely should worry about them because Tatum right now is kind of taking over. We need Brown, as always. We need Brown to help out a little bit more if Tatum's not on the floor with him there. And I'm a little nervous. You just keep that in the back of your head.
Listen, we all got nervous a little while ago when they were in that little slide and they rattled off 7 wins in a row. I'm not too concerned about Boston right now. They will go through ups and downs this season. They are a very talented and a very deep team. They're not going anywhere, folks. Yeah, maybe right now Tatum's doing a little bit too much, but he will realize soon enough he doesn't have to.
All right, so the Celtics are the king. Who are the queen there, Chris?
Well, this is another team that has been hot as of late. They've rattled off 6 in a row. They have a representative at the MVP table, and that is the Philadelphia 76ers.
Wow.
They are sneaky hot, man. They really like their last 20 games. They're like sneaky really good their last 20 games.
Yeah. And
we see this all the time, though, Chris. We see it all the time from the Sixers. We kind of know how this ends,
true.
Right?
That's true. They're the Cowboys of the NBA.
Pretty close to it. I mean, pretty close to it. But Embiid is playing out of his mind right now at an MVP level. He deserves to be have a seat at that table. They are beating teams. They've won 8 out of their last 10. Like I said, 6 in a row. They deserve where they're at.
All right, and then we go to the Prince.
Well, that's the Denver Nuggets. They have the second best record in the league. They have the head of the table playing for them.
Ooh.
Top of the West. Listen, they're no slouch.
Who's Jimmy and Jay Uso on the Nuggets then? If Jokic is the head of the table. Is that Murray and Porter basically?
I guess, right?
That's who it is.
Well, now wait, who's Sami Zayn? That's
Sami Zayn is Bones Highland, and then Aaron Gordon is Solo Sikoa.
Nuggets
there you go, folks. That's all for me. That's expert basketball analysis right there.
See you later. Speaking of jesters, Chris, who's the jester this week? Oh, I'm sorry, the Houston Rockets jester of the week.
Okay, this is a team that you normally wouldn't expect me to put in the jester seat, but this is a team that's supposed to be competing for a chance to go to the finals. They have an MVP hopeful.
I know where we're going. This is a great call
on their team, but they're not playing good. They've lost 8 out of the last 10, and they've lost 6 in a row, and that's the New Orleans Pelicans.
Rod, it's tough. It's tough if you're a Pelicans fan right now, or even player, because everyone is hurt. You haven't had your team together. Zion's going to be out for at least another couple of weeks. Ingram still having trouble walking. I think it's going to get better, but it may take a little while to get better for the Pelicans, Rod.
I said they got to start scoring.
or Chris.
Peaches and
either one.
Herb Jones just came back. All right. Things are going to look up for the Pelicans. He's one of the guys who's come back from injury. Good things happen when Herb Jones is on the court.
And that is your Kings hardwood hierarchy. The Kings are the Celtics, the Queens, the 76ers, Prince, the Nuggets, and the Jester, of course, are your Pelicans. And that will do it for Fast Break on the More You Know Podcasting Network. Rod, we've got the Royal Rumble coming up. Fans are going to be listening to that on, probably the day that this comes out, maybe a little earlier in the day. And then we've got Big Morgan You Know coming up in a couple of weeks as well. Exciting time to be a part of the network, isn't it?
It is. And I love that you say exciting time and you have a smile on your face because all of those podcasts have to be expertly edited by you, Jimmy Jam. So I apologize that we're piling all these up on you at once here. But, it is what it is. We have a Love Songs podcast that we are currently crafting in the laboratory of the pop culture side of this podcast network. The Mrs. Morgan You Know and I, along with the RCP, Pete Osterman, along with our music guy, Matt Record, and special guest, Carrie Marie. We're going to have a love songs themed episode of the podcast. We're going to drop that for you a couple days ahead of Valentine's Day. And you do what you think is best for you with that playlist we're going to make for you.
Over under on the amount of clips I have to take is 27.5 for that. So I'm looking very much forward to that. Chris King, thanks as always for being here. And please, sir, end the podcast for everyone.
Heel of the week should be Shannon Sharp, just for you folks at home. He needs to keep his mouth shut when he's at NBA games. Other than that, goodbye, Internet.
That's such a great point. If you or I or Jimmy did that, we'd be arrested. Somehow he gets to sit back in his seat.
Exactly.
What the hell?
Right.
Like, seriously.
That's a
I'm
terrible
sorry,
sweater,
wait,
too.
what?
That's a terrible sweater.
What?
Yeah, he
You
got
just get
into
to
it
go back
with
and sit down?
Yeah, they just escorted him back. Any other person banned for the rest of the year, probably.
You want to know what else, though? Those seats were given to him by LeBron. Like, those are LeBron seats. Like, I'm told that LeBron basically was like, no, he sits back down.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, LeBron, that's fine. That's fine.
He's like, oh, I got his back 365, 366, leap year, 24/7. He's always had my back. I'll always have his. He can trash talk with the best of them. He's going to do what he does.
Can't have it both ways, LeBron. You can't go crazy when fans are getting on one of your buddies, and then when somebody in the stands gets on another player, you back them up. Can't have it both ways, LeBron. I don't like trashing you, but that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.